So I have completed the lightsaber. So I wanted to make like an instructional video. Kind of shows how everything goes together. Mainly just taking it apart for removing the blade and changing out the batteries, but I also wanted to do like a reveal video. So here is Will. First, while I have it together, I'll just light it up. So it's a nice dark blue blade. It has ultraviolet features for sure. It's much more impressive in dark light and low light. So I have the blade cap. The blade still looks a little messy, but I did put some clear coat on it, so it'll at least be protected. And then the switch ring, of course, lights up too, and it's a pretty good match for the shade of blue. So then I just want to show what else is going to come with it. I decided to create a card, kind of like a collector's card. Also, to make this unique, I did include the letter D at the bottom in Arabesh, or Orabesh, however it's pronounced. It's an alphabet from Star Wars. And then because I used so many of these little screws around, I did include an extra one in case any of them become warped for some reason or if they're lost. And then of course the wrench to go with it. So probably the most common disassembly and assembly is going to be with the blade. So I have two screws holding it in place right now, but even without them, you can plug this thing in and just swing it around a little bit. It's not going anywhere. It's a really tight fit inside of this wood piece right here. The wood goes further down, about all the way up until the switch, and you can see that it's held in place with these two screws. These ones are permanent. They kind of have some texture on the sides, so once you loosen them a little bit, they're pretty easy to remove by hand. So as you can see, it's still all connected. Pretty good hold. I can swing it around. Upside down, doesn't fall out. So then it just twists out. It's actually kind of cool. The switch still stays lit up. And you can, because I lined everything up, I lined up I don't know if that's visible at all. The plugs line up nicely, so you can just plug it right back in, twist it around. And then if you want it to really be secure, you have to twist and find the holes that line up here and screw everything back in. Here we have the wood coming out up here. I stained, it was just a wooden dowel that I stained. I also added some acrylic paint around the edges to kind of make it look like a part. So then I used an O-ring, because they're not the same thickness. I used an O-ring to kind of hide that, that gap. The copper itself has a pretty good shine, and I'm not really worried about it oxidizing because it's been without a clear coat for a few days and it hasn't shown any wear. The next detail I decided I wanted to do, in my original design I had all these holes cut out, and I definitely improvised and thought of some new things along the way. Originally I was just going to have leather wrapped around the inside and having there be some gap in there. I decided I didn't like the look of that, and it was also really hard to get all that to stay. I have some old earbud parts that I used. This part is like the volume control. It still clicks and everything. I painted it black, probably added too much weathering with silver acrylic, and it's got clear coat, so that should all stay on. Had plenty of extra wire to use. I got this. This is definitely inspired by Kylo Ren's lightsaber, having the exposed wire. This part's also from the earbuds to hold the earbud wires wherever you want them to be. And it was really cool because the wire fit right through one part, and then the other part acted as a clip against it. This was a really cool part that I wanted to do. There are a lot of lightsabers that have this, this slant cut either at the bottom or at the emitter. So this is the pommel, I guess. And it does really look like, people told me it looks like a reed or like a clarinet reed. Definitely does. It's not supposed to be a straight cut. I did want it to be kind of two different angles. Maybe that's noticeable. But the wood stain turned out really great. And then I ended up doing something. I engraved these letters, and then I did some wood burning inside as well. And that turned out really nice. Has a really nice effect. Almost like a tribal effect. So there's definitely a lot of possible stories to go along with this build. I did kind of skip over the switch. I really only buy black or silver switches, and I love the idea of how silver would look against copper and then how blue would look against the silver and copper. So this has clear coat on it. That's going to stay really nice. These four letters spell out will. I was originally going to have it spell out Bill, and then I guess I liked the way the W looked a little better, and then I decided that Will would be a good name for the saber, not as like a person's name, but more as kind of like the wielder of the saber. Their strong point is willpower. And then these four screws hold in this part, and right underneath all here is the battery pack. So these ones come out even easier. Once I loosen these a little bit, they all come out easily by hand. Then I also had some symmetry by adding another O-ring right here. It's kind of neat because you have there's kind of symmetry all across it. You have your O-ring here, you have wire that kind of matches that, and then another O-ring. I even included some weathering on each of the screws. They're black and the paint doesn't scratch off or anything, but I just brushed over it with a dry brush and silver acrylic paint. So then this just pops right out, and I realized after putting everything together that was like, oh, the battery pack, there's not really any way to pull it out with, it's pretty far in there. And it's pretty snug because it's inside the leather that's down in there. So I ended up threading it so that you could pull it out. And there's quite a bit of extra wire, so I've just been like twisting to pull them up. I have some electrician's tape holding all the batteries together. So all of these go in by hand, and then I would just give them a nice quick tighten. I think these ones will come out if it's really necessary, but like this is all glued up here. Everything's pretty set in place up there. So there it is. I present Will. My second creation, but first of my commissioned creations. Really excited about it, and I hope you like it.